Hello and welcome back to the video editing podcast from Unsplice. I am very excited to give you this episode today because we're going to be talking to Justin Odisho. If you don't know who Justin Odisho is, he's one of the top creators on YouTube. He's got 1 million subscribers and he specializes in video editing, motion graphics and Photoshop tutorials. So today we kind of cover how he goes about the whole process, the steps of his process, but also how you can make a living as a YouTube creator. Is it viable? And is it lucrative? And what are the different streams of income that you should be pursuing in order to survive as a creator? So without further ado, let's start the podcast. Hello, Justin Odisho. Welcome to the Video Editing Podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming on. Like many people, I've seen your tutorials and I think you're very close to 1 million subscribers on YouTube now. So congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. 950 or something at the time of recording this. So
yeah, 953.
Gotta get there. Can't get that close and not get there.
Yeah, absolutely. You will. It's a matter of weeks for sure. What are you going to do to celebrate when you hit that mark?
I don't know. I've been doing YouTube for so long that it's sort of just happened now. So I don't know, maybe I'll just go have some dinner with some family or something. Nothing crazy.
Yeah, nice. Another day at the office, so to speak.
Yeah. It will be a nice milestone for sure. So I don't know how I'll feel, but I'm not really much the party type right now.
Yeah, fair enough. No, it's an incredible feat. And I'm pretty sure most people listening, if they've ever been on YouTube to look for a tutorial, they will have come across one of yours. Thank you for joining us. I kind of wanted to speak to you about your career path, really, to get to the point where you are now, so that if there are any listeners considering YouTube as a viable career path, and because obviously there are so many ways to make a living as a video editor, I'd like to speak to you a bit more about what's involved, the process, and the prospects, in terms of life as having a career as a YouTuber. So correct me if I'm wrong, but you're self-taught, is that right?
Yeah, so I started editing as a teenager. I also learned on the internet, but just through like experimentation and then like blog style how-tos, like little written articles, and I would make edits for video games, like video game montages and stuff, 16 years old, something like that. And I also learned Photoshop as well to make like little graphic designs and things for internet forums, which aren't much of a thing anymore.
Yeah, right.
But so I got proficient with like Photoshop and After Effects, and more so I started out in like Sony Vegas back then. But yeah, you learn the general video editing principles and they kind of carry with you through any similar editing program. So it just became a hobby that has turned into this kind of unique career.
Yeah, absolutely. So what sort of resources were available to you in the early days, and what were your favorite learning resources to pick it up?
I believe there was still YouTube at the time, but I think I watched like a really basic guide to Sony Vegas or something, like a long video. I don't remember what it was. It was probably on one of the forums. And I don't know, I just sort of picked it up. And there was also, there was guys like Andrew Kramer, the video co-pilot, which are very much originals. Yeah, I don't remember if he was making tutorials or not, but he was making, quality stuff, and just to see what was possible in these different programs and whatnot. And then there was forums, just different users on forums like would come up with a cool Photoshop technique to make a text effect or something like that. And I can't recall just like one specific resource, but I just sort of picked up bits and pieces, and then self-experimentation too.
Yeah, that makes sense. So was there something that you wish you had at the time that would have made your life so much easier?
Probably a faster computer. I remember sometimes leaving Edit to render for days overnight. I think I remember one time we went on like a family vacation or a road trip or something, and I left the computer to render for like a week or something.
Wow.
I don't know what I was rendering in After Effects. I don't think it worked when I came back. Something happened.
Oh, no, it failed.
I don't remember, but it was like that. Like you'd have to leave it overnight or something.
Yeah,
make any progress.
Yeah. Do you have any of those moments now?
Well, now I'm lucky enough to be able to have a nice, powerful computer, and I don't really edit. The longest I'll take to render something might be a couple hours. So I could just, yeah.
What machine do you have?
Right now I'm working on an iMac Pro, and I also have a MacBook. And that's what I'm working on. Yeah.
The new MacBooks is crazy powerful. So as you're working your way up as a YouTuber, well, kind of before that, you're playing around with Photoshop and video editing and all these things, and something sparks a joy in you. At what point did you decide that YouTube was gonna be it?
Well, as far as having a career in it, we talked about I wish I had a better computer, but I also wish I had a better idea that this could be a viable career. I always just considered it a hobby, and just continued to go through school and college, and had some vague idea that I would have some professional career in something. And I did graduate, but the point at which I started a YouTube channel was much, much earlier, just as a hobby. Like I just, I enjoyed making videos, but where are you going to share the videos? On YouTube? And I enjoyed seeing if I could get views and like how that worked, and just internet communities were fun. And probably right around the time that I was getting ready to graduate and I had to figure something out, I had got a bit of traction on YouTube, or I had just sort of had the idea that perhaps this could be some sort of business, and decided I would give it a try to see if I could make something out of it in that year around when I was graduating.
Okay. Yeah. And was it a rocky start, or was it, when you graduated and you put that year towards it, was it kind of like a eureka? Oh, I can actually make this work.
It was, I'd say there was bumps and patches. The nice thing is that even as a hobby, I had found some minor ability on YouTube. I think I still had, I was just making Photoshop tutorials for fun. And some of them were doing okay. I think I had a couple tens of thousands of subscribers, maybe like 20,000 or something. I thought it was cool. I had like a little comments I could check. But I still never had the idea of it. But then it was around the time I was paying for school and I was working part-time, and I was sort of running out of a balance of money to pay for school. and so I was juggling these three things, and I started doing a lot of random freelance things. I started like a Snapchat geo-filter business. I started just doing...
Interesting.
Yeah, I started doing social media, like content and design work for this local company, and that was rocky. So I was just jumping from like random odd gig to gig. And eventually I got tired of doing those things because I don't know, you know, client work can be quite annoying.
Yeah.
And there was something with the negotiation where after like a month of work, they tried to renegotiate at terms that they didn't like. You know, they originally said one thing and then tried to like negotiate lower after I did already a month of stuff expecting the other thing. And I just, I didn't want to play along. So I just said, well, no, I'll go forward with our original agreement or not. And that
good approach.
Yeah. Good, if anyone's listening, you know, negotiations. But I didn't really feel like, I didn't do that. And then I just sort of said, you know what? I'm just going to do my own thing. I don't feel like running around dealing with all these people, because the other thing when I was doing that was all like the permissions that you had to ask. Like I remember I was trying to help fix their website, you know, just little things like the buttons were wrong. Like the Instagram button linked to the LinkedIn and had the wrong logo, and just this was spelled wrong, just little things. And they would want me to first go through their marketing person and then ask them if I could do it. And I just wanted the freedom to be able to do it. And I found that freedom in being able to work for myself, and where no one can tell me, you know, how to make the thumbnail or what to do or, you know, what color to use. And then I said, let me just focus on this hardcore, and I'll just do this in school. And then within like a year of uploading every day, I did manage to catch some traction. I think luckily, because for some reason around 2017-ish, video editing online also started to rise. I think even like Adobe's what's the word, the subscribers to the Creative Cloud, I think if you look at like a lot of different numbers, it seems like it all went up at the same time.
Yeah, I think you're right. But you just said that you posted every day for a year. Did I hear that correctly?
Yeah, I posted.
That's crazy.
Sometimes twice a day.
Wow.
Yeah, that was just my main goal. I was going to school. I had quit my part-time job, and I was just trying to focus every day, just to post every day and do whatever other responsibilities.
Yeah,
so
great.
I would just be working on my channel in class most of the time. Honestly, I would. I remember editing videos on my laptop, and the fan would start going off, and it would be loud.
Everybody looking over their shoulder.
Yeah, I'd be in the back of the class and just trying to get through.
Yeah, that's nice. That's great. I mean, that's good spirit. That's good graft, and kudos to you because it's all paid off. I kind of wanted to touch on, you mentioned client work, and I'd love to. Do you work on client work, and then you have you're doing something for a client, and you think, oh, that would be an awesome tutorial, I'll put that up? Or do you just create tutorials specifically for you know, each tutorial?
Yeah, well, I've gotten to the point now mostly where like I can just focus on doing the education. And you know, I've done a million odd jobs you can think of, but I just mostly now, if I am working for a client, the client will be like based on the education stuff that I do. So whether that's working with Adobe on something, or working with just working with like other, like a lot of these music companies, music licensing companies, or stuff like that. I personally, as long as I can not do client work, I try not to, which I feel lucky.
Yeah, because of the whole client relationship and that we spoke about earlier.
Yeah. So mostly I am focusing on just creating original materials specifically for the education side of it. Yeah. But I have pulled ideas from all over the place on previous projects, or just other things on YouTube. I have a running list of ideas that I keep on a notepad. And every time something strikes me, I write it down, whether I'm watching TV or I'm watching a music video or.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so every time you need to create something, you just pull from that list and create it.
Yeah. Actually, the hardest part about what I do probably is the, idea generation, and we're working on that. So it does help to keep the running list of notes, but I do spend a lot of time actively trying to come up with good ideas.
Yeah. Okay. So tell me a bit more about your process. You're inspired, you've got an idea, and what's every single step from there onwards to the point that you post it?
Sure. So I don't write a script down for my tutorials. I try to have a rough idea. Firstly, I'll gather materials, so any stock footage that might make for a good example. Sometimes I'll even just browse stock footage for hours. I use my own footage sometimes too, but I make hundreds of videos. Sometimes I don't have hundreds of my own clips.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's tiring to go out and shoot clips every single time. So sometimes I'll just browse stock footage to see if anything sparks my mind from footage. But I'll gather the materials, I'll run through it and see if the effect actually works. I'll try to make sure it's universal, so not just something that works for this specific clip, but it would never work for anyone else, because that would just cause confusion and probably yeah. So I run through it, and then once I have it down, I'll start recording my screen and my audio and everything, and I'll go through it. Usually I can get through a recording pretty smoothly, but I might have a couple hiccups and starts along the way, and I'll just edit those out and try to make the final product as concise and direct as possible, which people seem to appreciate.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's definitely something that I appreciate from watching your tutorials, is just it gets straight to the point, and there's no fluff, which is super useful when you're in the moment and you actually need a tutorial.
Yeah, I cut out a lot of stuff, like even little things like thinking about how to start it. I used to say hi, my name is Justin Odisho, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes now I've been experimenting with just immediately, like not even in the first second, just like, here's how to do this. First do this, blah, 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 and then saying my name at the end. Like I'm trying to think of every way that I can cut out everything unnecessary, but not to the point where you still don't learn something,
Yeah, of course. There was a point in YouTube where everybody just wanted to reach a certain, minute duration for the videos because of monetization. And the more ads you could post, the more money you could make. But now the algorithm's caught up, and it just rewards valuable content and puts that in front of more people. So it works in your favor.
Yeah. I just record it, and whatever it ends up being, it ends up being. I have a lot of people, like sometimes the video will be like 10 minutes and 1 second. People think like, if it's like 9 minutes and 55 seconds, maybe I'll just put like a 5-second intro because of some superstition that the algorithm wants a 10-minute video. But for the most part, that's not at all in my process. I have 2-minute videos and I have 30-minute videos, and I just try to make it as long as it ends up being. And I think the most important thing YouTube cares about is like overall watch time and retention and clickability, like how many people clicked on it and watched it and continued watching. And it's hard sometimes with tutorial content because I don't know how people consume it. Maybe they skip around, or maybe if it's not what they're looking for right away, they look for something else, or some people might rewatch it over and over because they're following along. So it's working all right, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And so in that process, are there any systems that you've automated to make the whole process quicker, or is it very much manual?
I think I think a lot of YouTubers like have a team and someone to do their thumbnails and someone, I don't know why, but I like to do everything myself. It's probably a flaw, but I still have my systems. Like, I have a thumbnail Photoshop document on my desktop with like a few of the logos and materials and stuff already there, but I've gotten it down, and I have my microphone all set up so that, I don't have to set it up every time. And I'd like to even get to the point where I have my camera set up with whatever backdrop and lighting, so all I have to do is push the record button. And I think that's the sort of systems where you can really focus on being productive, because honestly, a lot of the hardest work like even for doing this podcast, I'm sure is like, okay, let me put on a clean shirt, let me put the camera, let me make sure the lighting's good.
Yeah, of course.
There's noise outside.
I had to shave my head this morning.
Shave
looking fresh.
My neck. It's honestly some of the hardest part. Shower, shave, clean up.
Yeah, exactly.
And the recording is the easy part. An hour or whatever you're doing.
That's it. Actually, for me, even as an editor, the hardest part that I struggle with is the editing. But it's not like I struggle with the editing. It's like I've spent so much time preparing and then recording the episode. And then recording, like you say, is kind of the easy part. And then afterwards, I feel like I'm so exhausted from that whole process. I don't have the energy to edit the podcast anymore.
Yeah. I actually do my own podcasts on and off, but I know what you mean, because podcasts are difficult because it's an hour long plus conversation and you have to listen to the whole thing again to edit it. So I listen to the whole thing again, just make sure there's nothing usually there's something to cut out or some stop, which we had. And then like, it's just like 1 hour recording plus at least 1 hour listening back to it and editing it. And it's just longer content and takes, it's not harder to edit. It's just more to edit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I wanted to touch a bit more on being a YouTuber as a career, what that really means. I'm a big advocate for being open about in the industry about talking about money, because if we're not open about talking about money, it only really benefits the clients and the businesses. There was a point probably, I think it was probably about 6 or 7 years ago, where I was working with someone who I hadn't worked with for a while, since the beginning of my career. So we hadn't spoken for several years, and we met at the same company. We were charging the same rate then. We went off, we did our own things. I would always speak with someone else throughout the whole period and just say, what's your day rate? How much are you charging now? And so we would always bump each other up and be like, yeah, you could definitely charge another £25 now. Put it up, it's fine. Yet this other person would never speak about putting the rates up. And we eventually met up after many years, and I asked them, how much are you charging per day? Because my day rate is £450. And they told me that they were charging £330. And we're similar skill levels, similar clients, but it's like £600 a week left on the table because they didn't want to talk about money. So I really try to encourage people to be open about it. So what I want to do is prevent everybody, all the other video editors, from undercharging, because all that does then is brings down the value of all video editors everywhere.
Yeah, I think that's a really important conversation.
Well, I just wanted to touch on essentially revenue as a YouTuber, and what sort of revenue. Obviously, monetization is the goal, but there's a long curve, right, until you can reach the point where you can actually live off that income. So I wanted to ask you how long it took you to reach the point where you could live off of your income from YouTube.
Sure, yeah. And I actually touch on this subject on several different videos on my channel, like how to monetize and different monetization strategies. And well, for one, I think what you mentioned is a good question. People always ask me, like, how much should I charge for a video? Which, since I don't do much client work personally, I'm not charging by the hour or whatever. But I try to help people in the DMs all the time. Like you said, like, you could at least be charging this, or like a lot of people severely underprice themselves, I feel like, or like race to the bottom of the pricing rather than seek different clients. Especially, I've helped a lot of people, and I always say, like, why don't you just try charging more, or just see what, especially like music video editors. That's a whole separate video I could make. But as far as,
let's do that some point.
yeah. And it's interesting to hear you say, in your professional work and your career, that I think it's a mistake that people do, charging, by the hour or something, like per day, or something more standard, like per project or overall package, probably makes more sense, because per hour, like, what if I just take really long on the project on purpose, or what if I edit it faster and deliver you something better and faster, and I'm going to get paid less for doing it faster?
Exactly.
So
I feel the same way. And also, clients perceive, if you tell a client it takes 5 hours, it sounds less time than if you said it's going to take a day to do that. And so they'll come back with small changes constantly.
Yeah, and revisions, I think per project, once you get a better idea of how long it takes you to work and how many revisions there are to expect, and how much you want to make per day, and what you value yourself at, and your equipment and your time, charging like a general per project or per day sort of rate is a lot better, like you said. And you do have to, work up to, based on your skill level or what you're delivering, of course. And there's a big conversation too around like working for free and whatnot. And I don't know, there's a lot of different opinions out there, but
it sounds like you and I are on a very similar page regarding that.
Yeah. I think if you're just starting out, there's not an insane amount of harm in like trying to network and, perhaps build relationships through bartering and stuff like that, but working professionally. But anyways, about the YouTube side of things, I started my channel in like 2011, experimented with selling digital products actually in the first couple of years on different like third-party websites that would just price your product for you. I was selling like Photoshop add-ons and stuff. Pretty young actually, which I'm pretty proud of myself that I stumbled upon. I naturally was implementing like affiliate and like sort of blog marketing and selling products somehow. But they would price the products themselves at maybe like $5, and they would take a 50% commission. And that just, you need to sell a lot of things for $2 times $1,000, to add up. And it's hard to sell tens of thousands of units.
Yeah.
But so any money that I ever made from YouTube for the first 5, 6, 7 years was, I remember when I first made $100 on YouTube. First of all, when you first started, you weren't eligible for monetization. Or when I started, YouTube monetization was reserved for like the top stars, like the big YouTubers. It was a private program, sort of a partner program. And then right around the time I started, they opened up the program so that anyone would be eligible for revenue share. That was exciting. And then I remember when I made my first $1 to $100. Some months it would be like, you made 20 cents, whatever. And I wasn't doing it for money, but when I did make $100, it was like, okay, I probably worked like many months for this, but it feels free. It feels like free money because I was doing this for fun, and the thing that made it feel weird free was that like it wasn't directly correlated to punching in and out of a certain hour time, which I was used to in my regular jobs. So it it was detached from any sort of time to money equivalent. And so it did feel sort of free because the potential was there to scale it. And then around the time when I was uploading every day, I'd say when I first became sustainable was actually when I launched my first couple products. So that should point out to people that even at a high level, getting like 1 million views a month or whatever may not be like the most sustainable. So any YouTuber or person who's thinking about it, you really have to think about, what sort of products and services you can offer to your viewers directly to make up for the other half of the revenue. Also, what sort of like affiliate commissions and partnerships that you can work with on brands to make up more revenue. So you really have to treat it like a business. So the only reason I'm able to make it work, and it works pretty well for me, is that I have several products that I've developed that I'm proud of that I sell on my website shop. I have my own website and my own website shop, which I had to make, and I sell products directly. So it's like a business. And I made sure I'm signed up for like all the relevant affiliate programs that make sense for my audience, like Adobe affiliates and stuff like that. Some people do Amazon. I work with brands directly because I've been able to build up my audience. And then the YouTube monetization is, it's a part of that. But if I only was doing the YouTube monetization alone without any of that other stuff, it would be, a lot easier to just probably have like a regular career,
Yeah, right.
Because you have to be making not to go on too long, but you have to be making millions and millions of views, which is not easy at all, a month to be able to sustain just off of YouTube revenue. And then what happens if those millions of monthly views no longer, like you stop making content or whatever? So you have to have something more. And that's the only reason. I mean, many people might never get to 1 million views a month or 1 million subscribers, but there's channels that can just be like 10, 20,000 subscribers, or small podcasts or something that are able to work directly with a very relevant brand or sponsor, or directly sell their course or product and earn a decent living without a massive audience because they're selling a good that's worth it.
Yeah, right. It's utilizing the audience purely as an audience, and not seeing monetization as the holy grail. So how many views are you getting a month?
My baseline is around like 1 million a month, and that's what I try to keep it at to feel healthy about the channel. I recently had to take many months off doing a move, but it's gone from as high as 2 point something million.
Nice.
But I feel good about it being at 1 million a month. If it starts going under a certain amount of views a day or a month, I start to feel like I need to start making more content, because the other thing is my channel is very much a catalog and education, evergreen content based thing.
Yeah.
I have like 1,000 videos. So it's really a product of scale, like 1,000 videos, and each one of them gets, even a modest amount of views a day. It can add up quickly.
Of course.
But mostly it's the small, like, there's like 20% of the videos. What is it, Pareto's Law or whatever? There's probably actually just like 10% of the videos make up for 90% of the views, which is...
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so what does that actually mean to you in terms of income purely from monetization only?
I have a video on my channel that breaks down like how much YouTube paid me for 1 million views, but rates change completely. Like depending on the category you're in, because video editing is somewhat software related, it gets a decent CPM. I think it's called cost per 1,000 views or something. there's high. I think if you're in the finance or stock or whatever sort of category, you probably earn even more, which is it's sort of strange. If you talk about money, you make more money.
Yeah, right. Okay.
And then probably if you're in like different geographic areas or different categories, there might even be less. So it's hard for me to give an absolute. And it also depends on watch time. You know, I've had videos with lesser views make more, and videos with more views make less. But yeah, I couldn't give an exact number off the spot, but there's definitely information out there to get an idea. If you look up these things like, you know, CPMs and RPMs and many YouTubers, I would go and look at the YouTubers sharing like how much they earn per million views and start to see a range, because I've seen some of them are ridiculous. Like I wish, like some of them, I just don't understand how they get so much from it, because they're in certain categories.
Right, because of the categories. Yeah. So because you know, as a sort of binary figure, 1 million views is 1 million views, right? For, you would think on paper, but actually the income from those can vary based on the category. But also, would there be any other things to consider, like the quality of the viewer or something?
The demographic matters. Like, well, it's all based on what advertisers are willing to spend.
Right.
So who's advertising on the video? The reason finances get so much advertising spend is because, you know, you might have a stockbroker company advertising to get new clients, and that's worth a lot of money to them to get clients to come on their platform, and so they pay a lot of money to advertise to those audiences, so those creators benefit from that. Also, watch time matters. So if someone's watching your video for 10 minutes, they might see 2 or 3 ads. Also, if they click on them, I think that's paid more. But
right. Yeah, that makes sense.
It's all based on the advertiser, how much they're bidding, and it goes different based on months. Like, you know, during busy months and towards holiday months, advertisers are spending more, and then perhaps at drier times of the year, where advertisers aren't spending as much on advertising.
Yeah.
But hopefully, I just hope that the ideal would be that more advertiser spend will leave traditional media like television continue to compete on digital, like podcasts and YouTube. And
yeah, I can see that happening. I can absolutely see that happening.
It definitely, I've seen it occur, because actually what's funny is the 2 million views I used to get, like the 1 million views now is worth more than 1 million views before, for some reason. And I don't know if it's just rates going up, or perhaps as your channel gets larger, advertisers are willing to bid more on it or something. But
yeah, I think that might be the case. Yeah. I know through, because I've spent years working in advertising and been inside some of the biggest agencies in London, and you know, got this really intimate view on how things, how the money is spent and how it's changed as well over the years. And so much more, it used to be, everything used to be funneled towards TV, and of course, and then online was just the side things. And now it's the opposite. There's so much money put into targeted ads because they can get more money, essentially a better ROI on that ad spend, and that's creating more competition, which means more revenue going around for the people hosting those ads.
Yeah. And another point I will just make is, like, let's say you get 1 million views and YouTube pays you anywhere from, you know, $1,000 to $5,000 or something. I mean, that's a very big fluctuation. But if you think about it, making $1,000 for 1 million views seems like you're leaving, like you said, a lot on the table, because imagine if you had a shop and 1 million people came in the door. Let's say out of 1 million people came and you were able to get 3 of them to let you edit their video for, you know, $500 or something. Or that's easily, you know, just as much, if not more, than just what the fraction of the penny that you made on each view, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
You get what I'm trying to say. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
You don't want to leave. 1 million is a lot of people, and there's a lot to be left on the table if all you're going to do is take a couple pennies because you let someone. Also, the other thing to think about, so a company is already willing to spend money to YouTube to put their ad in front of your video. What if you worked directly with a company and said, I will directly implement or feature your product, and you could negotiate a much better rate than the fraction of the penny. And you know, there's there's a lot of ways and to make a living as a creator. I've been full-time for 4 or 5 years, and I feel good about that.
Great.
Because this can be probably a very fleeting career. So I don't know where I'll be in 5 to 10 years, but hopefully I'll have something to show for it.
Do you have a plan of 5 to 10 years?
I hope to just it's funny. The WWE wrestling channel on YouTube has something like 60,000 videos on their channel. They upload like 20 times a day.
Wow.
I hope to build a library that is as massive as that.
Rivals that.
And that can just sustain itself without me.
Yeah, right. It's really important to be financially aware and look after and be able to plan as based on the fluctuating income. I
wouldn't tell anybody that anyone can do it, you know. I would hope that anyone who wants to do it could make it work, and I'd be happy for them. And I really think it's not a zero-sum game. I mean, society cannot function if everyone is just like an online creator, you know. Someone's got to do something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Like we don't need 1 million video editing teachers. We need like, you know, a couple dozen or a couple hundred of the best that can offer their perspective. Like maybe you can offer a great perspective from like the professional client side, or, you know, everyone has their perspective to share, but, you know, I could teach video editing to as millions of people. But there's also, you know, there's millions of people who need video editing services, or, you know, video editing work will always be abundant.
Yeah. Justin, thank you so much. It's been an honor to speak to you. It's been great. I'd love to do this again.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. I'm glad that we were able to talk, and I hope something interesting came out of it. For if no one else, I had a good time.
Good. I'm glad to hear. Good luck with everything. I'll probably be speaking to you on Instagram, because that's where we hooked up in the first place, on the Unspice, on the meme page at Video Editing is Hard, and you're at Justin Odisho, right?
Yes. So yeah, if anyone wants to reach out to me, I'm really easy to reach. Justin Odisho, and or email me. My website, justinodisho.com, has all my links and stuff, and I'm really easy to reach. So if anything I said was interesting, feel free to continue that thread. And you have an interesting meme page as well. So I forgot about that for a second.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I love some of your memes as well.
Yes, that's the
respect.
True work. Yes. Yeah. Mutual meme respect.
Yeah, meme artisans.
And that's the one last point I'll make, is like, keep your mind open on what can be a career, because memes could be a career, you know, and it is a career for many people. And when I was younger, I just never clicked in my mind like any of this editing or online stuff. I was just going to school, and how did I not think, you know, how did I not like, no one told me. So here we are telling you that memes can be a job.
Yeah, for sure. And it's real. As long as there aren't, thousands, there's only so many meme creators we need.
Society can function completely on meme creators.
Yeah. It was really interesting to hear Justin's perspective on making a living as a creator. And he and I are going to hopefully do another podcast together, and we'll do an episode about negotiations and rates. And he has a background in working with brands, and I think that's super valuable. So hopefully we can organize another time to speak about that in the future. I hope you've enjoyed this podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll be back soon. Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.